Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. Greetings and salutations to all of you lovely listeners out there. Hope you enjoyed that little intro that I cooked up. You may be asking yourself, why that song? Well, that has something to do with what we're talking about today. First of all, I hope you all are doing well. Hope you've had a lovely week/weekend, and I am sorry for the delays with this podcast. So I put my guitar down and have a sip of my beverage, so pardon. Okay, so I've been sort of slacking on this podcast, I'm not going to lie. I've been not doing weekly uploads like I should be, or like probably most of you are familiar with. And part of that has to do with the fact that I've been working on the main channel doing stuff. We did a love stream. I've been editing videos for the main channel, and I've been Twitch streaming twice a week, as you know, and it's been pretty, packed with the schedule, as well as my regular day job. So, this podcast is not as frequent as I would like it to be, but I'm doing my best with it, so I do appreciate y'all's patience. I really do appreciate all of you for the kind words and the continued support and comments that you give to this particular medium. I meet those of you in real life, and I read your comments, and I hear you in stream chats, of various varieties saying, "Hey, I heard your podcast, recently, and I really liked what you talked about." And I do really enjoy this. I do enjoy the podcast. I just wish I had more time in the day to do this, because I really do enjoy it. I like to get my thoughts out there in a long form version of a video. So, I'll see what I can do to continue to do it weekly or bi-weekly. I may switch to bi-weekly just for my own sanity, but I haven't decided yet. We'll see what we can do. But the other thing that I want to do with this podcast is I want to eventually sort of phase it into a video format. So you get video as well as audio. And it's basically just going to be me, sitting in front of my webcam and talking in my fursuit. And, I know, or, even like implementing my VTuber into it. That could be interesting. If any of you are interested in seeing my VTuber, my VR chat model, doing a podcast, I think that'd be kind of fun. And with the video in particular, would give the chance to have guests on in person and also over video, Discord, that kind of thing. So that's what I want to do, is I want to start moving forward to a greater enhancement of this podcast with video and other such elements. So, that's kind of the future that I'm thinking with this, a little bit of a transitional period, as it were. So I once again appreciate all of your patience for sticking with me in this, and for your understanding and also your kind words. It really does mean a lot. So as mentioned at the beginning, why the song "Good Riddance" by Green Day at the beginning? And what's really ironic, I'm actually not the biggest Green Day fan. I think I don't hate Green Day. Let me just put that out there. I don't hate them, I don't dislike them. They're just not my favorite. I've heard much better groups out there. Like I think Green Day is mainstream? Maybe. I don't know. That I don't It's not really the reason why I dislike them. It's more has to do with the lead singer. There's a whole thing behind that, but we won't get into that. Anyway, why the song Good Riddance by Green Day? Well, the song came on today, actually. I wasn't originally going to do that, and then I was driving home from my parents' house tonight, and I was just had my music on shuffle like I normally do, and that song came on, and it just struck me a certain way, like it never had before. I was just like, wow, I never really thought about the lyrics for one thing, but the other thing is I've been talking about this on this podcast before, but I've been thinking along the lines of my own mental reframing, cognitive reframing. I've been talking about this before, but a lot of my therapy sessions have had to do with cognitive reframing of things. And for those of you who don't know, or haven't heard on the podcast before, cognitive reframing is taking a bad set of thoughts. So like, a an anxious thought, a depressed thought, maybe something that stresses you out, just like thoughts, right? In particular, that just pop in your head that are constantly causing you grief, stress, harm, some kind of, dissonance, cognitive dissonance in your mind, and reframing it. So, for example, I was thinking today, this is a really good example, actually. I was thinking today about a talent show that I did back in high school. It was for my Shakespeare class. Yes, I took a Shakespeare class because I'm a nerd. So, excuse me. We did a talent show segment for my Shakespeare class back in high school, and we could come up with our own creative idea to portray a particular portion of the playwright that we were reading at the time. So I believe it was Twelfth Night or As You Like It. It was one of those that it was the end of the semester. We had just gotten through like Romeo and Juliet. We got through, Much Ado About Nothing, Hamlet, all the classics, right? King Lear, yeah. So we were in, I want to say Twelfth Night, and I thought it would be a fun idea to do a blues rock and roll song about Twelfth Night. So I did, and it was fully improvised. So I sat up on stage with my guitar, as you heard, and I made up this blues rock and roll song, this ditty, as they call it in England. I made up this little ditty on the spot, blues style, talking about a verse from Twelfth Night or like a section from Twelfth Night. And I was thinking to myself, like, my first initial thought when I remembered that talent show was, oh my gosh, that was so cringy. I can't believe I did that. It's so embarrassing. But here's the thing, I won. I won the talent show with that number, that fully improvised number of blues rock and roll about a Shakespeare play. So what's the problem, Sammy? Right? I just, I've thought about this in the past, and usually the first iteration of thought that comes with that memory is cringe. Like, I cringed, I just felt embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. But the cognitive reframe in this case of cringe and embarrassment is I won the talent show. I got first place in the talent show. So clearly people didn't think it was cringy or embarrassing. So only me. So I just sat there and I was like, huh, that is true. Why don't I think like that? Why don't I think like that? What is stopping me from thinking that was a win? You know, it literally was a win. So my therapist recommended cognitive reframing. And in this case, the cognitive reframe was, hey, it may it may have been embarrassing in the moment. It may have been something that was, would be considered weird or whatever, just out of pocket, but The cognitive reframe is you won the freaking talent show. So, excuse me. Yeah, that right there is like that should be the follow-up thought. Like I think about that talent show and then I cut off that thought of cringe and embarrassment. And it may still be present, but it can be less prominent if I think of it as a win instead, which it was. So that's an example of what cognitive reframe is, which leads me to my original point about good riddance. So, good riddance to that thought, right? Good riddance to that thought. This is what was in my head on my drive home not an hour ago. Good riddance to that thought of cringe and embarrassment. Good riddance to that thought of depression and anxiety and stress to whatever thought may come in my head. Good riddance. Hope you had the time of your life. Thought. Hope you had the time of your life for 5 seconds in my head, because it doesn't need to be that way. And I understand it's not easy to just do that with every single thought. Like, trust me, I know. I had my own traumas in my life, and it's not as easy to do with certain thoughts as well as others, but you know, it's just something that kind of struck me on the way home when Good Riddance came on the radio. It was just like, oh man, yeah, good riddance to that thought. It's something unpredictable, but in the end, it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. That's what I would say to that thought as it's leaving my head, and I cognitively reframe that structure of thought into something else. So, excuse me. So, yeah, that's just, and I love the line. I have the lyrics up in front of me. Um, Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. So, the first line being another turning point. Think about it. Another turning point in your thoughts, another turning point in how you see something mentally and how you view something. A fork stuck in the road. What does that tell you? You can either go left or right, or you can go this way or that way. And what thought pattern are you going to find yourself in? Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. That I can contribute to. Time grabbing you by the wrist and directs you where to go. Oftentimes, our thoughts direct us where we go in our head. It will oftentimes direct us to a place we don't want to go, and sometimes it leads us to a positive place. So there's no doubt about that. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. So making the best of a stressful or depressive or anxious thought and don't ask why. I would disagree with that one. You can ask why. Like, why am I having this thought? What am I having? What kind of feelings am I having with this thought, and why am I having it? Where did it come from? Is there something, unpredictable, but in the end it's right, It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. And I love that line of just, it's not a question of why necessarily. And this is where I would agree with the why, not asking why rather, but it's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. Over time, we can learn to control our thoughts, even if they come out of nowhere, which they often do. So, something unpredictable, and in the end, it's right. Good riddance to that thought. I hope you had the time of your life thought, but you're not going to be in my brain any longer, you know? And you'll come back. You'll come back around, but that doesn't mean that you can stick around or you're going to stay, you know? So that's just something, I don't call it profound if you want, but just sort of a revelation. I don't really know what to call it, to be honest. It's just kind of something that I cooked up in my brain on my way home. And it really left me with a sense of just satisfaction, contentment. I don't like, to be honest, it took me back. I was really taken aback, and I just had to share it with you all. So that's why I gave you that intro of Good Riddance, because, yeah, excuse me, as simple as it is, just the intro of the song, even with the first verse and the chorus, it's just something I had to get out and I had to share with you. So I really hope that, thinking about that, I hope it helps you in some way. I hope that it does give you a new perspective and gives you something to think about when it comes to holding your thoughts captive and recognizing your own thought patterns as they come up randomly. So, yeah, just I wanted to share that with all of you, and I really hope that you get something out of it. So, I'm not gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. think I said I'm not gonna be honest. I'm always honest. I try to be. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a bit sniffly. If you couldn't tell by my voice. Weather change. It is almost springtime here. We got about 2 more weeks until spring, which is awesome. And it's officially March. So yeah, we got Green Month already in it. So I hope you all are having a good month so far. And yeah, so between the between the transition from winter into spring, naturally nature is like, hey, we're gonna get right into your face and into your respiratory system. I hope you're okay with that. And I'm not okay with it. So yeah, I've been been a little bit stuffy the past couple days. Thankfully I'm not sick. Um, did have a bit of a sore throat yesterday, and you all know how much I love sore throats. But yeah, it's no longer there. I was able to, kind of stave it off and take it down. So it's now just congestion. So, in the interest of keeping this mild, medium, we'll say, I'm not gonna make this a very long episode because I've been talking most of the day, and not gonna lie, it's a bit of a challenge at the moment. So that being said, let's get into what's been going on. So, first of all, I want to say thank you all so much for the support on the most recent upload on the main channel, the MCFC con video. It is doing very well. And you all are leaving such beautiful, sweet comments. And those of you who I got to meet there are leaving comments, and you're you're watching it, you're liking it, you're leaving your kind words. I really do appreciate that. I noticed all the shares and like the reposts, and yeah, it's just been an absolute joy getting to see that do as well as it is, and getting to relive all the memories from that convention a couple weeks ago. So thank you all so much for continuing to support that video that just went up. And to those of you who I got to meet at MCFC again and new ones, I really do appreciate you. And it's been such a pleasure to get to meet you and see you in real life. It really does mean the most. And I'm looking forward to the next event so that we get to see each other. So that'll be real soon, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to give you all a shout out, say thank you. Appreciate the love that you're showing that video. And likewise to those of you who showed up at the love stream last Thursday, thank you so much for that. We had a great time. We just celebrated the kangaroos out there for February. Yes, February. And I just want to say thank you all for your donations, your supportive words, your kind words, like your stories, all the chat that we got to have, and the night we got to hang out together. So, it really does mean the most. And I'm so glad when we get to have that opportunity to just chat and, in person, so to speak, even though it is through the internet, at least it's live. It's closer than a lot of times we will ever be. So I'm just really thankful for that. Um, really thankful for all of you and those of you who showed up and participated. It's always a pleasure getting to be in that position of getting to chat with you in real time. So, looking forward to the next one. And speaking of events and such, I am looking forward to TFF in about 3 weeks. So Texas Furry Fiesta. That's coming up at the end of March. That'll be in Dallas, Fort Worth. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've been there the past 2 years, I want to say, so this will be my third. Love that convention. Beautiful hotel, beautiful venue, just fantastic vibes, and I'm so much looking forward to it and like seeing all of you. And yeah, I got my flights, got my room. I'm all set to go. So yeah, it's gonna be a wonderful time. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you all there in a couple weeks. So let's go. I am more than ready for this. So other than that, had a nice little visit from a friend recently. Took them out for a nice dinner, and we chatted, and we just hung out for a little bit. So that was not this past weekend, but the weekend before, because since this podcast is late, as I said. Um, but yeah. Other than that, just been streaming and working hard. You know, prepping for this upcoming con, editing the MCFC video and all that. It's finally up. I'm so thankful that it's finally up. And I just want to say, I the MCFC video was a little bit later than I wanted it to be. And that's partially because the editing software that I use was really giving me the business, let me tell you. It crashed probably 10 times when I was trying to edit this one stinking video. Man, I was not happy. Like, I was not a happy kitty. I was very, very not okay during this editing process. And finally, I caved and I reset the whole software to default. I was like, okay, we're resetting you to factory default. We are cleaning out all the bugs. I don't care about my presets. I'm done. I don't care anymore. So I reset it to default and it seems to be working fine now. So yeah, thanks Windows 11. That's all I got to say. But yeah, that was interesting. But I have to make a quick point. Since we talked about the podcast and we just talked about the MCFC video coming out a little later than expected. I once heard a quote, and I believe I've talked about this before, but excuse me. I once heard a quote, and this was fairly recently. I believe it was in reference to a Kendrick Lamar album. I could be wrong about the artist, but I remember it was Kendrick Lamar or it was somebody along those lines in the rap scene, and they had a new album coming out. And this album was like hyped up like to craze, it was like, oh yeah, yeah, new album coming out this date, this time. And then as the hype was spreading and it was getting posted everywhere and the wildfire was real, so to speak, Kendrick, or said artist, went on social media and said that it's going to be delayed about 3 days. And of course, naturally, people were upset. Like, oh my gosh, dude, you hyped this up so much. You said this date, this time, we can't wait any longer. And I love his response to that claim. Like, we can't wait any longer. We've, waited for so long and now you're telling us it's delayed again. And his response to the public backlash of his album coming out later than expected was, will the late release, make this project any less valuable? It's like, wow, that's a good point, Kendrick. Like, that's a really good point. Like, just because my album or his like him talking like just because my album is coming out a few days after its initial promise does not make it any less valuable or any less relevant or any more poor than it would have originally been on the 3 days before. So that honestly, like, this one quote from Kendrick or said artist, I can honestly say, changed my perspective on how I deal in content, how I create content, either whether it's the podcast or a con video or an ASMR or a stream, doesn't matter. Will this podcast being a week and a half late, almost 2 weeks late, will the MCFC video being a day late, or me starting to stream on Twitch half an hour later than when I originally intended, will it make the content that is produced any less valuable or matter any less than I would have started at a certain time or it would have come out at a certain time? The answer is no. The value of the content stays the same. As a matter of fact, it may be more valuable because who knows what type of value it's going to receive from the time that it's released or it starts, right? And I know before any of you get it in your head, I understand how slippery of a slope that this can be. This is not in any way a ploy, a ploy. It's not in any way an excuse to, say like, "Oh, I can be lazy and I can produce content anytime I want." Well, that is the truth. Yes, you can produce content anytime you want. Whether or not you work on a schedule, that's up to you. But it's not a be lazy and, go to sleep and sleep on it card, right? It's not a like, oh, a license to be lazy card by any means. it's a little nugget of truth that just sits in your brain to sit in your brain to say, just because this is a little late, just because it's, later than I intended, or it's not exactly the scenario that I pictured that it would be released, does not make it any less valuable, does not make it any less of a project or any, doesn't make it any more like, doesn't make it any more poor, in other words. So it's just something to think about. Not a license to be lazy, but it's a reminder that sometimes you can just take your time. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to take your time on the content that you want to produce. And I've mentioned this quote before. This is a quote from Adam Young, aka Owl City, and it's not directly from him. He got it from somebody else, whose writer's name I don't remember, but I heard it from Adam Young. Um, And he has a quote that I also love that has also changed my perspective on how I produce content and how I, you know, stream and do these types of things that you're listening to now. He said that, or this writer that Adam was quoting, said that a good project is never finished; it's only abandoned. And he's right on the money. Like I have I've edited many videos in my time, even before this channel, the main channel, and Twitch streams. Like, yeah, I have edited many videos even before this time of this era of my content creation. I had many YouTube channels in the past. I kid you not. I had 3 different YouTube channels that all failed. And now this was my 4th. So, actually, no, it's like my 5th one. Oh my gosh, no realization. Anyway, that being said, a good project is never finished, it's only abandoned. So that is to say, you can sit and you can tweak and tweak and add and tweak and, subtract and, glimmer and jazzify, and you can bougie up and you can like glow up and you can just like beautify. But at the end of the day, the project is what the project is. The truth is, you can always, always, always make it better. The bar never stops moving on a project. The door never closes on a project. It could always be better. But at some point, you have to go, okay, it's done. This is where we end it, right here. Could it be better? Absolutely. It could always be better. I mean, just, for example, the song that I played at the beginning, Good Riddance. Billy Joe Armstrong could have added extra string quartet. He could have added 2 guitars. He could have added another layer, he could have added a synthesizer. He could have beefed up the lyrics. But when you think about it, it's just him at the beginning of the song. It's just him and his acoustic guitar playing the most basic chord progression known to rock and roll. And yet it turned out to be a great song. So he doesn't need fancy chords. He doesn't need power chords. He doesn't need bar chords. He doesn't need, melodies the whole way. He doesn't need a solo necessarily. Like, it's just him and his guitar at the beginning and telling a story, a message, a very simple message. I hope you had the time of your life. So, that to say, this podcast being late, the MCFC video coming out a day later than I intended, my Twitch stream sometimes starting later than intended, that doesn't make them any less valuable. These projects, every single project, every single video that you see on my channel, or any channel for that matter, every stream that I do could always be better. It could always have more to it. And it could always come out earlier or when was promised or said or intended. But the projects are abandoned, and they are no less valuable than if they had come out earlier than intended. So that is something that I just wanted to get off my chest because I've been, kind of sweating over content lately. I'm not gonna lie. Like, for example, I'm planning to do a new ASMR this week. Which, spoiler, a new ASMR is intended to come out this weekend. So I have it written. I have not shot it yet, but I plan to shoot it probably in the next couple days and then edit it. But that's something that I've been carrying. It's just, oh man, I want to make this better than ever. I want it to be this. I want it to be that. I'm going to add this. I'm going to add that. And then when I was sitting with my notepad, I just had to be like, whoa, wait a second. What I have written down is acceptable. I can always add to it if I want to, but this is a good start. I have a couple of points that I want to get through in my script. I'm going to improvise most of it. We already know that. Who knows what'll come out in that improvisation, in those ad libs? Who knows? Beauty comes from wit, you know? Brevity is the soul of wit, after all. So, it's just something that I think about often. I always catch myself in this cognitive spinning, the cognitive dissonance of, okay, gotta film a video, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta, have it up by this time. And then I have to sit in that for a second, just like take a moment and just be like, hey, Sammy, calm down. Take your time, film it. Step one. Well, step one would be write it. Write it, film it, turn off the camera, take a breath, get something to eat, get a drink, do what you got to do, import it into your editing software that hopefully works after resetting it to default settings, and then edit it. And then next step, render. Then after rendering, upload it. And then it's done. So it's a process, It's a process that works for me. I'm not sure what your process is, but I encourage you. Take your time. Think about something that you want to really create. Think about something that you truly want to show the world. And you may not know what that is yet, but sometimes just sitting down and writing and thinking and dreaming and imagining, things come to you. Mm. Mm. Speaking of things coming to me, that I have this Jameson whiskey lemonade from yesterday that I haven't finished yet, and it's a little flat, so interesting choice of beverage for my sickness, but I think that's where I'm going to end it. I really do. I just wanted to put that out there of what's been on my mind lately, and I just want to say once again, like, the fact that all of you are here is truly meaningful. Like, it means the world and more. It means more than you ever know that you're here and you're hearing this. And, you watch the videos on the main channel and you follow me on Twitter and TikTok and Blue Sky and all those places. And, watch my streams on Twitch, twice a week. And, like, I just, I look at it. We're almost at 6,000 subscribers on the main channel. Do you know what that means? That's huge. That's astronomical. I can't even wrap my head around it, honestly. Like, I don't deserve that. A lot of times I get, I've talked about imposter syndrome before. I get into these thought patterns of I don't deserve this. I deserve way less. Yet, those of you out there hearing this, by the way, if you made it this far, thank you. Congratulations. I appreciate you. But I often think like, man, what do I do that's so great? What do I do that's meaningful? But clearly, those of you who are here and those of you who watch the main videos on the channel and follow and like and subscribe and all those good things, you see it as something that's worth your time, and that is something that I will forever value. I will continue to value, and I will continue to make this as much as I can. I will continue to do what I do because it's the joy of my life. It's fun, it's interesting, keeps me creatively fueled, and it just goes on from there. And I don't ever want to take it for granted. Not for a second. Because the minute and I've told my friends this, like, the minute that I get a big head about this stuff is the day that I should delete my channels. I never want my ego to be fueled by this. I never want to be, I never want to be a stickler about it. And I'm going to do my best to not. But all that to say is just like, I truly appreciate all of you for it. And I will never forget what you've done in my life. And I will continue to be grateful for as long as I can. So that's going to be the podcast. Thank you for listening. Just remember the Latin phrase, sic parvis magna. Remember greatness from small beginnings. Remember where you started, where you came from, how you began in this crazy world, in this crazy journey of yours. And just remember those who came up with you and stand by you to this day, because you never know what tomorrow will bring. So be sure to tell them that you love and appreciate them for who they are, because tomorrow may have a different story. So be grateful for them in your life. And also be sure to be yourself. Always be you. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can and can't be or what you can and can't do. That is for you to decide, and you alone. And there's never been anyone like you in the past. There's no one like you here in the present, and there will never be another you in the future. Because everyone else is taken. So be you. That's what the world wants to see. Only you can offer the things that you do, the way that you do them, the best. So, until next time, my friends, this is Samson Kitty Fox. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of this. And I really want to thank you again. And I appreciate all of you. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye. Love you. Meow meow.